Hello and good morning, everyone, and welcome. What we're going to look at today is we're going to look at the aspects and how they relate to you, what's important to you. So we're looking at a time period from January 2nd to January 8th. When you take out the moon aspects, there really isn't a lot there. So for the second, we have three aspects. We have Mercury conjunct Jupiter, Saturn conjunct Pluto, and Mercury is conjunct Jupiter again. So this is listed, this particular aspect, twice at two different times of the day. So basically it's Mercury conjunct Jupiter and Saturn conjunct Pluto. Now we know that that's not totally exact and won't be exact for a few days. But that being said, is within just about half a degree, so it's basically aspecting pretty close right now. So that being said, like we're looking at this chart here, this is the chart of the day, and I've got it set for 12-hour intervals as we move forward. And so this is a chart of Aries rising. So like I said, what we're really looking at is we're looking at Mercury conjunct Jupiter. Okay, so now, as everyone knows, there's been a lot of pressure in certain areas of your life over the last year. This is quite unusual. Um, it's Pluto and Saturn and Capricorn, and there are a lot of planets lining up on this particular area of the chart. So for each person, this will mean something different, like a different area. And how it relates to your natal chart, you can find out when you get a reading, when you get your personal chart done. Now that being said, looking at today and looking at the aspect, we have Mercury conjunct Jupiter. Mercury is a personal planet, um, and there are the influences that have been around for the year, plus the fact that we just had a solar eclipse at Christmas time, which means the moon conjuncted the sun. So we're just coming off of that. And a solar eclipse will last for 6 months. Uh, Basically, it's a form of a new moon. And so Capricorn is a very important area that a person would look to see what in their life, what that's focusing on. And from the point of a new moon, you're going to see this transit happen, and over the next month, and eventually you're going to get to a full moon. That being said, it was time to let your intentions be known, decide on of a path that you'd like to embark on, uh, actually for the next 6 months. And in this case, Aries rising has most of their input in their 10th house of career. Anyway, back to the aspect. Uh, and like I said, when you look at your own personal chart, then you'll be able to see how this relates to you specifically when you compare these things to your own personal chart and the planets and the aspects there. So that being said, Mercury uh, normally is the ruler of Gemini, and so Gemini is a air sign and a mutable air sign, and so we see that it's in Capricorn, which is a fixed earth sign. So you're going to find that Mercury, which is communication and expression, is going to feel limited in Capricorn. That being said, Capricorn rules institutions, it rules boundaries, and so Mercury can communicate within the boundaries that it finds itself in. Now, conjunct Jupiter is going to find that in this area of your life that's aspected, and especially around 7 to 10 degrees uh, in all the signs, you're going to find that Jupiter shines the spotlight on what Neptune or what Mercury is going to talk to you about or communicate within the guidelines and the boundaries of Capricorn. Now, again, if we look at Jupiter, Jupiter's rule is the ruler of Sagittarius, which is a fire sign, and now it's in an earth sign, so it feels quite constricted too. Mercury likes to be expansive, it likes to be free, and in Capricorn, an earth sign, it has to ground itself, it has to be more practical. And so that being said, that's the main point of view that we're looking at for the second. Now, when I go through the different charts, when I put up different rising signs, you just have to take and transfer that information to the area that's important to you. So that's the second. When we look at the third, the aspect that we have is Mars, and Mars is conjunct Sagittarius, and if we move forward here, we can see that Mars has moved into the sign of Sagittarius on the 3rd. Now, when you're talking about Mars, Mars is your aggressive, forward-moving nature. Now, it was and is a co-ruler of Aries, and it's a ruler of Aries, and it's a co-ruler of Scorpio. So that being said, when it was in Scorpio, it actually felt like it knew how to particularly put out its energy. And that being said, when it does put out its energy, it's going to do it with a new flavor now that it's in a fire sign. So this is a water sign, and so it would have tended to be a little bit more intense, but behind the scenes, under the surface, Scorpio. Now, Mars rules Aries, so Aries rising feels very comfortable with Mars. It's the way they function, and they understand this, and it makes total sense to them. So that being said, they're just going to feel a slight change in the way that they express themselves, but nothing really different than normal, because Sagittarius is a fire sign, and because Aries is a fire sign, they're going to move forward in whatever area of life that it aspects and accents. Okay, so now the next aspect that we have is on, we're still on the 3rd, so on the 5th. So we don't have a new aspect till we get to the 5th. And when we get to the 5th, we're looking at the Sun sextile Neptune. So here's the Sun and Neptune. So okay, that shows up on the 7th here, but it starts on the 6th. So that's the Sun sextile Neptune. And we can see that the Sun, representing you, your identity, the way you feel about yourself, is in Capricorn. And Neptune ruling is in Pisces. Now it rules Pisces, so it's quite well at home in Pisces, and it's allowed to express itself in its normal method and the way it actually likes. So Pisces can rule secret things. It can rule also the way you view things in a uh, you could say mystical way, but you could also say the way you dream about them, the way you would like them to be. So when you get an aspect between the sun, you, your identity, your conscious mind, the things that you think up, and Neptune, you can see that this will allow for you to fabricate and form ideas that are not yet real in your life. Now, it's a sextile aspect, so that being said, you're actually going to have to put out the effort to do that. It's not a trine, so it just floats right into your life. It is a sextile, but that shows is that you will be able to work on coming up with new ideas and new ways of looking at things. Now the next one is, that's the 7th, and on the 8th we have Mercury sextile Neptune. Okay, so we're just going to move this along here, and we can see that's 16 degrees and that's 16 degrees. So now we had the focus of coming up with a new idea, in a new way to express yourself. When the sun hit Neptune, now we're going to be even more practical. We'd be able to express that in words and communicate with other people and get this out in the open. So this is a pretty fantastic aspect when you've got it just following the sun like that. And the next, okay, the 8th, they're basically aspects back and forth with Mercury and Neptune, and eventually the Mercury is also going to conjunct the sun. So we're going to see that here on the 8th. Okay, so let's wait for it. There you go. You've got Mercury conjunct the sun. Now this is pretty neat. Okay, this is really neat. So you kind of back up here. And so what did we do? We had, oh, we're a little too far here. Let's get to, okay. So we've got Mercury, and we're going to take it back here, because really right to the beginning, because this actually is just really neat. So we're going to go right back here. We're going to go to January 2nd. Okay, so let's get there. Okay, so Jupiter's conjuncting Neptune, as I said. Now then the next thing it's going to do is, this is going to shine a spotlight on what's going on in a certain area. Then Neptune is going to move to the sun. It's going to conjunct the sun. So you're going to be able to put a plan together, and then Neptune is going to, or Mercury is going to conjunct, is sextile the Neptune. So you're going to have the sun sextile Neptune, then Mercury sextile Neptune. So you're going to have the spotlight on something. You're going to have a new idea formed. You're going to have the ability to communicate and express that idea. And you're going to also be able to, when you put some effort into it, be able to come up with ways to advance, new ways to look at and feel about whatever it is that you're dealing with. So that being said, that's the aspects. Now, we're going to look at something else next. What we're going to look at is we're going to look at each person's point of view. So when you're looking at Aries rising, the 10th house is significant, and because these aspects are dealing with Neptune, it's the 10th house and the 12th house. Okay, so the 10th house is your career, the 12th house is things behind the scenes that you're actually not going to be talking to other people about, unless, of course, that you have natal aspects. But like I said, you need to get your chart done now, and then you will be able to find those things out, how they totally affect you personally. But when we look at Aries rising, this is what we see. So now we're going to go to Taurus rising. Okay, so now what do we got here? We have this area that is being aspected. And so this is the 9th house. Actually, this is the, yes, the 9th house. So the 9th house is a cadent house. It's more a background house. It's not angular, so it's not necessarily in your face. It's but what you do see here is, if you have Taurus rising, that Neptune is actually pretty close to your ascendant. So you've already seen a lot of changes in your life. And the next one we're going to look at is Gemini. And so what do we got here? We've got Gemini, which rules the 8th house, which rules death, debt, other people's money. So it's your wife or business partner's money. And so this would be where the focus is for those who have Gemini rising. And so next we're going to go on to Cancer, and we will see what that looks like. Okay, so we have Cancer. Now, when we have Cancer rising, we can see a lot of this energy has to do with your 7th house of business and marriage partners, people outside the home, and the things that you might be thinking about in relation to those people. Neptune are in the 9th house of your values of education, trips, schooling, and things like that. So that being said, we're now going to look at the next one, and that is Leo. And so let's see where the emphasis is on Leo. Okay, so Leo actually really gets it down to the 6th house. The 6th house is service, work, health. And those would be the issues that Leo would be dealing with. That's a cadent house. And that's the issues it would be dealing with. And next we are going to go to Virgo and have a look. Where is the emphasis for Virgo? Okay, so that's the 5th house. That's the 5th house of recreation, children. If you're going out with people, that's romance, sexual encounters. And so that would be the area of focus for Virgo rising. And now let's take a look at Libra. Okay, so Libra rising, we're going to find that the home and the family environment is accentuated, and Libra is looking to balance those issues. And so this is the area of focus for Libra. And next we are going to look at Scorpio. And here we have Scorpio. Scorpio is the 3rd house. The 3rd house is short distance communications, your neighborhood, everyday things, brothers and sisters, and those would be the focus that you would be looking at. And of course, all of these have their axis, right? So you've got your 3 to ninth axis that you would focus on, which if you have anything in the ninth house would be more significant, would be significant as well. And like I said, when you get your chart done, you'll be able to see those things. And now what we're going to do is we're going to look at the area of interest of Sagittarius. Okay, Sagittarius, it's on your second house. Your second house is about money and possessions. Now there's lots of different places money shows up in your chart. You can have your 11th house, which is money from your career. You can have 7th house, which is money from work. And you can have your second house, which is money in general and your possessions. And that is the focus for Sagittarius rising. So the next one we're looking at here is Capricorn. Well, as Capricorn well knows, their whole life has been affected. This is the most affected sign in the entire last year. And this is in the first house, but it's actually affecting the 1, 4, 7, 10, which is you, the way others perceive you, the way you feel about yourself. It affects your marriage, it affects your career, it affects your home life. And that is actually, like I said, the most affected sign because Pluto and Saturn have been in that sign all year. So next we're going to look at Aquarius rising and see where the emphasis is there. Okay, Aquarius rising, we're actually seeing most of the focus in their 12th house. It's hidden behind the scenes. It really isn't going to show up a whole lot out in the world unless they have a lot of planets or some planets transiting the 6th house. So that's where the emphasis is for Aquarius. And last but not least, we're going to look at Pisces. And Pisces can be actually really quite interesting. As we see, it's in the 11th house of friends, hopes, and wishes, the 11th house of the internet, the 11th house of groups, social media, and so those things would be the focus. That being said, that's our look at the transits for this week and how they affect each sign. Thank you for coming and have a good day.